I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm on it.
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere!
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Alright, welcome back everybody to another episode of West of Nowhere. I am Levi, and Shane is missing in the desert. No, he's, I think he's trying to raid Area 51. He's a couple years too late, but that's alright. No, he's on a debt in Las Vegas, so we'll be without him today, but I got a ton of stuff, some funny, some super sad, so you know, we're back to our regular scheduled format. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I would like to thank our Patreon people, Adam Pacino, Tony Burgess, Mark Stadler, Kylie Gangwish, Colby Jordan, Chantel Stadler, TJ Jonak, Colton Zamersla, Jeremy Brazzers, and Boney M. If you want to be one of those people, go to the link in the description. It's in the description whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on whatever podcast you're listening to, and podcast host or whatever. So do that. Go to the Patreon if you want to be a supporter. If not, and you just want to help us out in some other fashion, get this out of the way ahead so I don't forget, and then it's at the last 30 seconds that nobody listens to. Go to whatever app you're listening to. Try to rate us. I know Spotify has a star rating system. Apple Podcasts has rating system. But there's also a new one that I just found out about. It's called Podchaser. So PodChaser.com. And essentially it's like an IMDb for podcasts. So you go there, you can review all the podcasts you listen to, and that would help also. And you can't really see it right now, but I'm wearing one of our new shirts. Hold on, I'll move the mic out of the way. So, if you want one of them slick threads, also in the link tree that's in the description. I think it was like $20 for this shirt, so not a bad deal, and it's pretty funky fresh, if I do say so myself. Not because I designed it or anything, but maybe because I designed it or anything. And with all that out of the way, we can roll right into the stuff that's happening. We do have one comment on the last YouTube video, but I gotta tell you, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, so it's a reference to when we had Dutch on, and one of the commenters, I don't know, he said a thing, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, so I'm just gonna not say it, because it sounds offensive. Anyway, moving right along. We got a lot of interesting things going on. Side note, there's a documentary on Netflix that I watched with Jeremy the other day, about a murder on a submarine, and I was really excited because, a lot of submarines in the news recently, so that was pretty cool. But it's not about the one, that we're all thinking of. It's about this one out of Copenhagen, I think, if I remember right. And this guy, he's like this rich, eccentric, billionaire guy, and he's like, I'm building rockets, and I need a submarine that I can build to kind of set everything up, like the launch platform and everything, and that was his whole vibe. And he ended up killing this lady on his submarine. Kim Wall was the lady's name, and then Peter Madsen is the murderer. It's called Into the Deep, the Submarine Murder Case. Very interesting. It's also super interesting because when they were they were filming a documentary on him already, like before he got murdered, or like he killed this lady, before anything like that, they were already like, you're doing some interesting stuff. Let's do a documentary on you." And he's like, "Oh yes, that would be good." I don't know if that's a good accent or not for Copenhagen, but we're gonna just pretend I sounded like Mads Mikkelsen just now. Anyway, so then he is getting followed around by all these cameras, and then like a week or so before he's actually supposed to like prepare his rocket for like the launch that's supposed to make everybody go, "Oh man, he's so good at rocket stuff." He takes this journalist out there on the submarine and then tortures and kills her. Yeah, so pretty interesting. Never heard anything about it, but it's got all the makings of a great story. Great as in like bad for her, but you know, interesting for everybody else, obviously. And yeah, I was very fascinated. And it just cracked me up that it came into view after the Ocean Gate submarine thing. Also, these dudes are gonna pretend like we don't remember anything. They are scrubbing their entire internet history, like the internet of their history. Like they're trying to delete. They deleted all their social media accounts. Ocean Gate is what I'm talking about now. Sorry if that wasn't clear, but they're deleting all of their social media stuff. They are pretty much, their website's now defunct. Like it's like they're just I'm imagining that either A, they're going to rebrand into something different, or B, they're going to like just try to disappear, because it was so everywhere. Like everybody had something to say about it. It was all over the place. And yeah, I don't know what the goal is, because you kind of put yourself in that shitty situation by not doing a great job with what you were trying to do. But what do I know? I've never built a submarine, so not my place to tell you how to do your job, I suppose. It'd be cool if it was, though. Maybe I should build a submarine. I think I will. So yeah, moving on to some other stuff. We have a story from a listener requested story about the potential of crab shells being used to power the next generation of rechargeable batteries, is what this says. So I don't know how many of you guys are aware, but the lithium ion batteries are the battery for freaking everything. They have been used for a long time, but they're super common in just about every device you have right now. So but lithium is a very precious metal, and it's limited, in other words. So there's been people trying to figure out what other things they could do aside from just running out of lithium. And there's there was an attempt to create a biodegradable zinc ion battery using chitin in crab shells, which is kind of cool. They're using crab shells to make some batteries, but they're gonna be doing something different with crabs. Making crab carbon is what they called it. So they heated these crab shells to temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and then they added carbon to a solution of either tin sulfide or iron sulfide, then dried them to form anodes. It says here, the porous fibrous structure of the crab provided a large surface area which enhanced the material's conductivity and ability to transport ions effectively. Good conductor. Who would have known? When tested in a model battery, the team found that both composites had good capacities and could last for at least 200 cycles. Researchers say that this work could provide a route to upcycle other wastes and help devote more sustainable battery technologies. So that's kind of neat. They're friggin' instapotting crab shells to make battery conductors, which is, hey, not a bad idea, I guess. If we got, I don't know about the overabundance of crap compared to lithium, but you know, they probably know something that I don't, obviously, because they're in it, man. They're doing the damn thing. So who am I to say? Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. Let's get on to some weird stuff. I found this guy, this story on Reddit, and it is super exciting. There is a man in Kentucky who had a reported 40 human skulls, spinal cords, femurs, and hip bones that decorated his apartment, which is pretty sweet. A fun motif that you have going on there, where it's just body parts. I get like animal skulls, like say you're a rancher and you got like a cow skull or, you know, coyote skulls, stuff like that, or a hunter. Obviously, those guys have skulls everywhere. But human skulls are not what I would hang, like, unless it was like, you know, a very famous one, like, I don't know, Julius Caesar. If they somehow found his skull, I'd be like, give me that shit. I'll display that proudly, obviously. But like, when it's just random people, it's kind of gross, right? It's still kind of gross even if it's a famous person, but I don't know. So the FBI made the discovery in this man's apartment while executing a search warrant for unlawful possession of firearms and weapons. When asked if anyone else was inside the home during the search, he allegedly replied, "Only my dead friends," which is creepy. I'll give him that. Super creepy. So, anyway, they did find the firearms and ammunition that they were looking for, but you know, he's a convicted felon, not supposed to have those. Man, but yeah, I guess they zeroed in on this guy because during the investigation, a different man accused of buying and selling human remains ratted on him. There's just no chivalry in the human remains game, you know. What happened to the good old days when you could buy a skull from your friend Bob and he wouldn't say anything about it? I don't know. Anyway. This guy, so one little thing about this guy, the guy with the human decorations, he posted a thing in Facebook that humans remain for sale on Facebook as recently as 2023 in June. So that's pretty cool. Didn't know you could sell stuff like that on Facebook. I mean, I've sold very limited things on Facebook, but gotta tell you, that's pretty neat. Now a new thing to troll the marketplace to look for. So I don't know if you're aware, but there was cocaine found in the White House, which is pretty sweet. The Secret Service finished their investigation, and they were unable to identify a suspect. There's a lot of people who are like, "You're telling me you don't know who did this?" You got pictures and video circulating around the internet of Joe Biden's son smoking crack, and you don't know whose cocaine it is? But let me tell you something. You've seen Wolf of Wall Street. People in power are all on cocaine, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's limited to just one dude's son. So there's that. Also, there was no surveillance footage that provided the investigation any leads, and without physical evidence, they couldn't, investigate further. So, if you're looking for a fun, cool place to do your cocaine at, look no further than the White House, because apparently it's cool. I'm just imagining, like, them not wanting to do it on, like, the nice, really old hardwood furniture, so they pull down, like, a glass framed, like, painting of fucking Martha Washington or something. And they're just using that. I'm sure they have little hand mirrors all over the place. But anyway, there was a source close to the investigation. Familiar sounds weird. I don't like the way that's worded. That told CNN, who I'm reading this article from, that the leading theory remained that it was left by one of the hundreds of visitors who entered the West Wing that weekend for tours and were asked to leave their phones inside of these cubbies that they have in that area. The cubbies is where they found a small bag of cocaine, and is a blind spot for surveillance cameras. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it probably was a visitor, but you know. And that's the thing. You're right. They're gonna get the you know, the Joe Six-Pack with who wants to do blow at the White House, but they're not gonna get the congressman who's been doing blow at the White House for 30 years. You know, they're not gonna do those guys wrong. But god damn it, the regular everyday dude who just wants to unwind at the White House. Oh man, I don't know why I assume it would be a dude, but it just has dude behavior written on it. You know what I mean? So there's that. In other news, in Florida news, the only place where this kind of thing can happen, a record-breaking Burmese python was caught. This thing is 19 feet long, and the article described it as tall as a giraffe, or well, as long as a giraffe is tall, which is a very visual, like, description. And it was also killed in this catch. So it was caught and killed, and it's gonna make a bunch of really cool boots, because that's a lot of material. 19 feet. I mean, obviously you gotta cut the head off. Can't really use the tail because it's a little thinner, but boy, this puppy is long. And you're gonna ask yourself, why are they killing this thing? Because fucking pythons, especially the Burmese kind, are an invasive species in Florida. So, yeah, 125 pounds and 19 feet long, and it is said that it has set a new world record for length. So that's exciting and also terrifying if you hate snakes like I do. Anyway, I was watching a video the other night, last night actually, specifically, about I don't know what kind of snake it was, but it was a python adjacent type, because it was one of them rapping boys. So it had a honey badger, and it was wrapped up choking this honey badger out, you know, looking like I don't know, like a UFC fighter just got him. And then the honey badger started kicking and clawing and freaking got free. You know why? Because honey badger don't care. Honey badger don't give a shit, and ended up killing the fucking snake. And then there was like two, I don't know, they were like coyotes or dingoes or something. I don't know where this video took place, but it looked like a wasteland of terror, because there's like a giant ass snake, honey badger, and these small dog creatures. Wherever that is, it's a place I don't belong, because that's a whole lot of like wilderness that is just uncontrolled, right? Only in uncontrolled wilderness would a honey badger ever exist, because that thing is fucking wild. Like, I used to get really annoyed because everybody's like, fucking honey badger, but now I just kind of appreciate its resilience and tenacity and the ability it has to just fuck with everything. So, anyway, that's your fun Florida story. And now I gotta bring the mood down a little bit. So, another Florida story, where a teenage mother is in trouble. A teen mom in Florida in trouble. Not really that shocking of a story until you find out that she put some fentanyl in the baby's bottle and the baby died. So, not great. The baby was 9 months old, and I don't really, yeah. The mom said that she didn't know what happened. She put the baby to sleep and then just couldn't wake the baby up. But then the mother, who was 17, allegedly changed her story several times, and then ultimately confessed that she had been tired and wanted to take a nap, filled the baby's bottle, and put what she thought was cocaine in the bottle. Which is even weirder. If you just wanted to sleep and you were gonna give your fucking baby, your 9-month-old baby, cocaine from the White House? That doesn't seem like a really good sleep aid, right? I think maybe crushing up a child's Benadryl probably would have been alright. I don't know. I'm not a doctor or a mom, but Jesus, man. And yeah. So the medical examiner said the child had 10 times a fatal dose in his bloodstream and determined that the cause of death was an overdose. Which is pretty disgusting. And I don't know, man. This is fucked. The mom was charged with aggravated manslaughter and possession of a controlled substance. And yeah. So not a great look for Florida, as always. They just when you think that they've topped themselves into like the most ridiculous things, a new story comes out and you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, how do you guys fucking do it? How do you manage to top yourself in the most depressing and ridiculous of ways every time? So anyway, yeah. Moving on to adjacent. Not as dark, but, well, I don't know. Depends on your taste, I guess. So, apparently there's been a serial killer murderer in Long Island that is now been apprehended, allegedly. Obviously, innocent until proved guilty. But there's been a person identified as a suspect in the Gigolo Beach serial killings. There's an estimated 11 victims attributed to this one murderer. And they found DNA on a piece of pizza that this guy had eaten, and then that was found with one of the women's remains. And this guy is an architect, which is kind of interesting. You hear about those like top 20 lists where it's like, this profession is more likely to have, sociopaths or whatever. But I don't think architects ever hit in those lists. I don't know. Very interesting. Hiding in plain sight though, dude. But yeah, he has lived for 4 decades. This guy, Rex Heuermann, I'm assuming is how to pronounce that name, has lived for decades across the bay from where the remains were found, and is charged with the killing of 3 different women: Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. And then he's also prime suspect in the death of a 4th woman whose body was found hidden in a thick underbrush along a remote beach highway, authorities say. And then, so this investigation, with all 11 victims, they're like, hey man, I don't think it's always been one guy, because I don't know, they just assumed it was not. But now they're pretty specific. Yeah, pretty cool. And then they also linked him to a pickup truck that witnesses reported seeing when one of the victims disappeared in 2010. And like I said, in March, they recovered his DNA from a pizza crust in a box that he discarded in a trash can and found hair. Oh. Okay. Matched it to a hair found on restraint used in the killings. They'd made it sound like he was just chowing down on a slice and threw it on on the lady's dead body. That's not what happened at all. They found hair. That makes way more sense. They followed him while he was eating the slice, though. Took that slice. That's crazy. Fucking protect your slices, dude. Well, unless you're a murderer, I guess, then just get caught, right? That's the that would be optimum. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll see how that goes. I guess so some of these murders about these women, they were, several of them, or most of them, were believed to be sex workers. And there was also a Netflix film inspired by the events called Lost Girls. So, if you want to watch that, check it out, I guess. So we'll follow it, see what happens. Pretty interesting, I think. In not super dark, but kind of darkly hilarious. Cruise line had, was taking some people on a cruise around some islands between Scotland, Iceland, and Norway. And it just so happened that when they got to one specific bay, it coincided with this whale hunt that was going on. So, so they ended up going to this area where they were just fucking these whales up. Yeah, and it's a big deal, I guess. Apparently, this hunt, was not authorized for a long time, but then they resumed it. And yeah, so they're, killing whales for meat. Blubber is being used and then distributed equally among those who participated. And yeah, anyway, so imagine you're on this vacation, you're seeing the serene, cliffs and beaches of different, Northern European kind of areas, and Scotland, Iceland, Norway, North Atlantic, these kind of areas, very Scandinavian-ish, very Viking areas, right? And then you're like, this is such a beautiful place, I love it, blah, blah, blah. And then you look over and there's just blood in the water as these whales are just getting murdered. But yeah. Anyway, kind of interesting, but they've had records of all pilot whale hunts since 1584. And it is deemed sustainable. And there are an estimated 778,000 whales in the eastern North Atlantic region. So, kind of interesting. I guess it's in that area where that it's going to be those people doing it. I guess it kind of makes sense. But, if the whales are just kind of in that area and don't travel to different, areas across the globe that they could get hunted further, it's no different than, having a deer tag, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Kind of weird. Kind of interesting. I don't know. I thought it was kind of hilarious, but, yeah, so, let's see, what else we got? You want to know what some weird people are doing for fun? Some weird people are going to Death Valley National Park to, experience what could hit a high of 55 degrees Celsius, which is, I don't know what that is in regular temperature. It's hot, I know that, because what is it, 0 Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, right? And then, I don't know, it's hot as shit. So these people are like, let's go check this heat out, man. Which is, I don't know, probably not the safest thing to do, but yeah, people are weird. People like to do really dumb stuff for fun, I guess. And there's a thermometer in the visitor center that keeps track of how hot it is, which makes sense because if it's, it's Death Valley, you gotta know how hot it is because it is hot. And there's pictures going around of it at 48 degrees Celsius on that thing. So I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there at all. It's been really hot lately, and I can't imagine what's happening. It's weird that everything's getting super, super hot. Nobody seems to know what's happening, except for those one people, but we can't trust them because why would we, Unrelated, I was watching a show about the Mayan civilization, and, the Mayan kind of disappeared, like, they kind of just died out, and kind of interestingly, they're, like, archaeologists, anthropologists are all trying to figure out what the heck happened, right? Well, the Mayans, as you probably know, built these huge, big pyramids all over the place. And they were also very keen on, like, forestation. Like, they would take wood. They used wood for a lot of stuff, like every society and civilization on the planet has ever done. But experts think that while they, looking at these kind of like historical data that they can kind of read through various different collection ways. I'm not super well versed on it, but they said that because of how much deforestation the Mayans did, they caused a very hot and less rain-filled area because there was less trees to produce, this ecosystem, like, with rain, right? So they cut too many trees down in this several areas, in the I don't know, is that technically a peninsula? I don't think it is. I can't remember what the geographic term for that, what Mexico is like in Central America when it thins out really tightly. Anyway, so they're saying because they took all these trees and basically changed the ecosystem because of how many trees they took without replacing or replanting, it led to a sweltering heat and droughts and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting, and I can't think of any reason why I would bring that up, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't know. And even if I was, you wouldn't trust me anyway, right? So just do with that information what you will, I suppose. Kind of interesting that there's so many fires and stuff, though. There's a lot of smoke up here. Last week, I think like 4 days of the week, there was air quality advisory, which is what you want. That's what you want in your air, is bad quality. So anyway, yeah. I did find this story that's kind of good or bad depending on how much science fiction you read. There's a drug that has been found to slow Alzheimer's, and it is being hailed as a turning point to fighting the disease. Now, donanemab. Anyway, that's how it's spelled, Donanemab. And no, I didn't look up how to pronounce it before the video. Sorry. It was found to show a clinical decline by up to 35%, allowing people with Alzheimer's to continue performing day-to-day tasks such as shopping, housekeeping, managing their finances, and taking medication, which is good because if it's medication, they should probably, be able to take it. So there was, this was like in the trial of the drug, and that's kind of sweet. Up until this point, it's been very hit or miss on Alzheimer's and like how to deal with it, specifically, but there's some interesting treatments and like things that people do. I have talked about it a bunch, and I'll probably never stop talking about it, but Alive Inside is a documentary that I watched one time, and it blew my mind, where they took people with Alzheimer's, memory, different, I don't know if it was just Alzheimer's or just memory issues in general, but they would interview them, and then, they wouldn't be able to answer very well at all, and then based on information given from these people's loved ones, they would play music that was popular when they were children or when they were younger, not children necessarily, but younger, and they would play this music for them, and they would start to come back a little bit. They would be able to answer questions, they would like be in the conversation, and it was wild to watch. It's like watching that video of that dude with like really bad Parkinson's who smokes that joint, and then it's just like, ready to go. But yeah, like I think it's awesome. It's super depressing to watch somebody go through, like to watch somebody just not be who you remember them being. And, memory problems are not always equal to Alzheimer's, but Alzheimer's does have memory problems, right? So it's like, and I don't know specifics. I've never like worked in this area, but I know Mark, that's been on the show, used to work at a retirement home, and I think Chantel did too. But hearing some of the stories and like reading about some of the stories online, it's just like, holy shit. I can't imagine being in that position as like a loved one or the the care people in care of them. Be real rough. So pretty interesting, pretty cool. I guess we'll continue to watch and see if it makes apes super intelligent and conquer the planet. But honestly, if it did, like, really, would that be bad? I don't know. I feel like they'd be all right with it. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the stuff I have for the regular stuff. But while Shane's gone, we'll do the Billboard for him. Number 1 this week, Pink Tape by Lil Uzi Vert. Hey, I seen the picture of this album, but I didn't know if it was out yet or not. But apparently not. Now it is, and it's at number 1. Number 2, One Thing at a Time, Morgan Wallen. Number 3, Genesis by Peso Pluma. 4, Midnights by Taylor Swift. 5, Dangerous the Double Album, Morgan Wallen. 6, SOS by SZA. 7, A Gift and a Curse by Gunna. And number 8, Lover by Taylor Swift. 9, My World, the third mini album EP by aespa, Aespa, never heard of them. And Ben One is number 10 by Rilo Rodriguez. Rilo, that's kind of a fun name. Alright. Yeah. So there's your Billboard top 10. Yeah. And that's kind of the stuff. Don't forget to review us wherever you can. I know everybody has the ability now that I know about Podchaser. So go there. Review us. Review all the podcasts you listen to. They're all going to be happy that you did it. Click the link tree in the description, or it's on the video if you're watching, or it's just linktree/walkpod, WOKPOD. Don't forget to check out our friends, the Dutch and Denver podcast, the Remedy Room, Kicking It with the Kellydys, and No New Friends. And yeah, that's kind of it. So I've had enough. Peace out, bitches. Tip the bartender.